Hello, students. So here is the long-awaited video that somehow got corrupted or had some type of technical issue. This is supposed to be the second of the four orientation videos on how to be successful in my class. So my apologies again for the delay. I am extending the deadline up for this video until this Sunday. So hopefully that relieves some of the stress from you. And again, it's been a really crazy week for myself and a lot of other instructors who are having technical issues. Not sure if it's due to the new version of Blackboard or what it may be, but give your instructors a break if they're having similar issues because we're stressing as well. So okay, so how to be successful. I'm going to try to do this as quickly as I can. Probably going to talk really fast, so forgive me. First of all, three things that are so important. I'll cover them through this. First of all, I've watched what successful students do and what unsuccessful students do. And I don't have many unsuccessful students, but it does happen. Um, I would say number one, please take the time to slow down and read. It amazes me sometimes that I'll post an announcement, which is for my students. It has information for you, which could be really important and help you through whatever it's going on, assignments or whatever. And I'll have students message me saying, asking me about things that I just posted. So please read them. I know I can be wordy, and I do that so that I can reach everybody. You may be a pro at online classes, you may be a pro at, Blackboard, but if you slow down and take time to read, I think it really will benefit you. And many of my unsuccessful students that I've seen in the past weren't taking the time to read. And that's whether it's announcement, the instructions for an assignment, the instructions for a test. Just slow down a little bit. I know that's hard to do when you have so much to do. And especially for those of you that are watching this that are in my 8-week long online class, it's 16 weeks of a course crammed into 8 weeks. So you guys have to really stay on top of things, which brings me to my second list of three of really important things to help you be successful for both my online and my seated students. It's time management. And in my opinion, after teaching for 24 years altogether, you don't have to be overly intelligent genius to make it through college successfully. Because I've seen people who, holy cow, I mean, I knew they were smarter than me. They were brilliant, but they lacked time management skills. And time management skills help you get assignments done on time, help you do things without waiting until the last minute. I'm a procrastinator myself, so I understand it, but especially on the online quick cap class, you guys can't do that. Now for my seated class, because it is 16 weeks and it is a slower pace, it's very easy to get complacent and kind of put things off because it doesn't seem like an emergency. Treat it like it is. Okay. Always try to stay on top of that stuff. Let's see. Next thing is whether you're in the seated class listening to me lecture, or if you're watching one of the RLVAs, the recorded lecture video assignments, some of which will be graded, some of which will not, many of which will not. But it's me actually taking the time to teach you. Again, with my online students, there are online classes where you basically are left to teach yourself. Now, when I was a student, that really ticked me off because I'd feel like, why are you being paid as an instructor if you're not teaching? So I take teaching very seriously. I'm very passionate about it. And I literally will give you everything you need through my lectures that you need to do well in this class, understand it, and hopefully find it very valuable. I'm a bit of a psychology nerd, so I'm very enthusiastic about it, which hopefully you'll be able to tell whether face-to-face lectures or the recorded lectures. I also provide you with some really good resources. If you look in Blackboard, and I believe both my seated and my online classes now have this, where there is a tab on the left-hand side of the screen that says chapter lecture materials. In there, you'll see the learning objectives, and that's something the college, makes us put in there. And I know many students don't read it. It's fine, but we have to put it. But then I provide you with the PowerPoint slides that I use when I lecture, both live and recorded. I provide you with an outline, and some of you have already found those and texted me, which is wonderful. Sometimes the outlines have questions, like a student I talked this morning, and I was asked, what was the difference between anecdotal and empirical evidence? So that's something you need to know and you'll be tested on. Other outlines or portion of outlines will just be a list of words, and you're expected to know what those are. So a lot of times students say, well, what's going to be on the test? Anything I lecture about, and that outline is basically based off on my lecture. So anything on there, if it's not on there, unless I specifically point out, oh gosh, I forgot to put it on there, it's not on there. Okay. Take good notes. Now, for both seated and online, all of you will have access to my PowerPoint slides, presentations. I do list directions on how to print them if you want to. I guess I'm kind of old-fashioned. I like to have the paper in my hand, but many of you are comfortable with electronic formats. What I would recommend is save the PowerPoints and the outlines to your computer, because let's say you wait until the night before an exam to cram and study and Blackboard is down. It happens sometimes. You're not able to access the stuff. I don't give extensions on tests for that. So save all that stuff so you have it just in case something happens, okay? In class or online, when you're listening to a lecture, don't worry about writing down the definitions that you see on the PowerPoint slide, because you have that. I provide them so you can listen. What I would recommend that you write down is the examples and stories that I tell to really bring the material to life, and hopefully in an entertaining way, as I often try to do. Those of you on my online classes, most of the lectures, the recorded lectures, are not graded and therefore not required. I am offering you the choice. You can allow me to teach you so that you really understand it, and I give examples that might help you on the test, or you can look at the PowerPoint and teach yourself. But I'm not requiring all but, I think there's only 5 or 6 videos in my online classes that are graded. My seated classes, there may be a little bit more, like if I'm out one day sick, to make up for that lost class, I may assign a graded video on what we would have covered during that day. So we'll always be on top of things and hopefully never really get behind. But in either case, when you watch these videos, yes, I'm not looking over your shoulder. You could hit play and walk in the other room and, you got the points for it. That's not what's truly valuable. What's truly valuable is your understanding of that material. So please take good notes, write down the examples, and most of all, let me know if there's anything that you find confusing, you don't understand, because I'll take it as a pretty awesome challenge to come up with yet another way to teach it. So don't hesitate. I was telling somebody today, being from up north, even though I've lived in the South the majority of my life, one thing I've noticed is a lot of Southern, and maybe it's other areas as well, Southern individuals will say, oh, let me know if I can do anything, but they don't really mean it. It's kind of like, oh, how are you doing? And we walk right past them without listening for their response because we really don't want to know. It just kind of has become a saying. When I say, let me know what I can do to help, I truly, actually mean it. I can't do things for you. I cannot bend the rules for one person and not another unless there's a truly legitimate, serious issue. And I consider things like that on a one-on-one basis. But I will do all I can to support you and, be your cheerleader and really hope that you are successful in this class, get the grade that you want, and that you hopefully become a psychology nerd like me. So that leads me to another thing, is communication. Please communicate with me. And there is a cultural belief that some people have that asking for help and asking questions is a sign of weakness or a sign of a lack of knowledge or whatever it may be, but it seems to be seen as a negative thing. I'm asking you to overcome that with all due respect to culture, because from an instructor's standpoint, when students don't ask for help and they continually do poorly, we might mistakenly and unknowingly interpret that as you just don't care about your grade. And that's not the case at all. So please come to us. We're not going to, think badly of you. I want the chance to help. Um, I believe I included on the video on how to prepare for my test the types of questions, definition and factual, which is just kind of using your memory, and then the applied questions, where you have to understand the concept and then recognize it in the real world. And that brings me to something that you guys are going to start to be seeing in the next week or so, depending on your class, is you're going to have some application writing assignments. And I don't want you to freak out with writing assignments. It's not like a 10-page term paper. I'm lazy. If you write it, I have to read it. Yeah. These are short, but you're expected to write at a college level. And if you have not taken college English yet, you may feel a little intimidated by that. Let me know. I will help. So every week, our week starts on Sunday. On Sunday mornings, especially for my online classes at 1 a.m., the week's materials, lectures, assignments, and all of that typically become available. Okay. My recommendation, watch the videos first, take notes. In my seated classes, same thing. If there's a video that I'm telling you you're going to have to watch that week, go ahead and watch that, and it'll tie into what we're talking about in class. And then start working on the studying part. Even though it's not time for test, look through and see, is there anything that is confusing to you? Because then you have time to ask me and I can clarify before it's time for you to take a quiz or an exam. And with my online 8-week courses, you guys are having an exam basically every 2 weeks, and in one case, after 1 week. So it's very, very fast. Another thing is with the writing assignments. When you see what the writing assignment is, for instance, one of the first ones you'll do is, of these chapters that you've covered, and it'll have that in the directions, how might you use, I might say pick 3 or 4 specific topics or terms that are on the outline for this class, and tell me how might you use that in your future career. So if you know what the application assignment is going to be, when you start watching the videos and going over the PowerPoint and you see a term, hey, I might really be able to use the term Broca's area in our chapter on neurology, because I'm going into nursing. Put a great big star next to that and keep that in mind. Maybe make a note, in your own words, how you would use that in your job, your profession. And then when it comes time for the writing assignment, you have half the work done. So that's one way that you can kind of work ahead and juggle things, and it becomes a little bit easier. Let's see. So there's that. 2 more things and I'll let you go. Texting versus Blackboard messages. If it is something that you don't need an immediate response to, maybe use Blackboard messaging. Monday through Thursday, I check them. I try to check them both in the morning or the afternoon, but like this week, it's been crazy, insane busy, and I have not been able to get to them because I'm putting out all kinds of technical fires and a lot of stuff. But I typically try to at least once a day check those Blackboard messages and respond. If you don't hear back from me, then text me. If it's something you need an immediate response to, if you have a really pressing question or an issue with a test, then text me. I don't mind. My only request is you not text after 9 p.m. because I get up at 4 o'clock every morning and I might be kind of grouchy if you text me at night and wake me up. I do have my phone set to the do not disturb, but it doesn't always work. So let's say you work second shift, you don't get off work until 1 o'clock in the morning, and you see that I had texted you during the day and you never saw it. Don't respond at 1 o'clock in the morning. Please wait until like business hours, because again, don't wake me up. I'm really tired and need to sleep. Um, but I do again want to tell you, don't hesitate to contact me. And many of you have done that, and it's been wonderful. And it gives me a chance to kind of get to know you, especially with my online classes and even my seated classes. If you need me, let me know. Now, office hours. For my seated classes where I see you face to face, I do have hours that are posted where I'm in my office, which is downstairs in the Robinson Classroom Building in room 110. If you ever forget that, it's on Blackboard under faculty information, and it's on your syllabus. For those of you who are in my online class, and you may never come on campus, if you do, come by and see me. I'd love to get to meet you in person. But there was a confusion with how office hours might be done in an online class. Well, for mine, I have office hours during which I am available. And this week I had tried putting just some open office hours, and it got crazy, and I had people who needed to speak with me privately, so I couldn't do it in an open one. From now on, I'm not going to have in the Zoom tab uh, scheduled office hours, okay? Zoom office hours. But for my online students, as well as my seated students, if you ever need to meet with me and it needs to be online in a Zoom meeting, text me and we'll find a time that is convenient for both you and I'll meet with you online. Now, I will say Fridays, I'm typically not on campus. In fact, many Fridays and throughout the weekends, I'm in the mountains and I have no phone signal and no internet, and it's, completely cut off. So if I ever don't respond on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I I may be out of town, and I will respond as soon as I get back. That's why I said I typically don't respond on weekends. Now, if I'm around at home, I will. But please don't just assume that I always will, because I do have a life. Um, let's see. But yes, pretty much for online Zoom meetings, schedule them with me, and I'll make it as convenient as possible for you. So, is this a hard class? Yes and no. If you study, if you're prepared, if you really understand the material, and next week I'll be posting something that has just some suggestions on how you can prepare, different study methods and techniques. You may find that a way you've used in the past doesn't work in my class. It's kind of trial and error, and one size does not fit all. I'm more than willing to give recommendations. If after a first exam a student doesn't do well, please don't panic or get discouraged. Talk with me, and I may be able to help you figure out what exactly went on. But if you're not studying and you're not understanding and you're not letting me clarify things, yeah, it could be a really hard class. The material would be really challenging. But if you are preparing, if you are studying, if you are asking questions and asking for clarification, I have so many students who makes A's in my class, and they're like, "Wow, that was an easy class." Well, first, I try to make it interesting, and it's so much easier to study and do work in a class that you're interested. I mean, think of a class that you really weren't interested, and everything is just a pain in the butt. You really have to push yourself to do it. So that's one of the reasons why I try to make it as interesting and entertaining and weird as possible, because that sticks with you more. So it doesn't have to be hard, but you may have certain challenges that really keep you from doing your best. Talk with me. So I'm not going to keep you any longer. I hope that there were some things in here that helped you out. If not, and you have questions, you know what to do. Again, I apologize for the delay in getting this posted. If it's been a pain in the butt for you, promise me. I promise you it has been for me. So we will commiserate in this together. I would like to say that we won't have any future technical issues, but I've been around Blackboard and Gaston College long enough that yes, stuff happens. Just know that if it's a technical issue, I'm not going to hold you accountable. I'm posting this on the night this video should have been due. I'm not going to make you do that. That's why I'm extending the deadline. So if it's a technical issue, I will make it worth your while. Okay. All right. Have a good evening, guys. Thank you.